Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to some of you. Thank you for joining me again for another live Q&A session here on my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator, and my channel here on YouTube is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some tips and tricks and techniques and things that I do every day in my own voiceover business so we can get together and talk about them for those of you that are just getting started, right? But if you're not new here, then you know that every week we have a new poll, and that's typically the topic of the day. I'm sure there'll be others, but you know how that goes. But today's topic is we're talking about demos. Of course, these chats are based on questions that I'm seeing a lot of in a particular vein. And that's kind of what I'm seeing a lot of right now is questions about demos. So I said, okay, I guess it's time to talk about it again. So do you guys have professional demos, or are you thinking about paying for a professional demo? And when I say professional demo, I mean a demo that is made by someone else. I mean, you're collaborating with an audio engineer, a coach, someone to create a professionally made demo that you're paying for, right? As opposed to your own like DIY demo. So again, are you thinking about having one done, or have you had one done? If you have had one done, what was your experience with it? Is it working for you? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they're a bad thing. It just there's a couple ways to go about it. And in the very beginning, when you're just getting started in this business, that's what you're hearing a lot of chatter about having a professional demo made. And my view on it, as most of you already know, but for those of you that are just joining and haven't heard me say it before, in the very beginning, it's great to get training and coaching. There's nothing wrong with that. But you're still trying to figure out how to find the harmony in your effects rack on your own. Even if you have an audio engineer come in and create presets for you and set up your audio and everything, you're still learning mic proximity. You're still learning, all the things that you need to know, how your DAW works, what everything does, how to make it work, all the things. And if you pay to have a professional demo made before you can replicate that sound on your own, and you present a professional demo to a client, and then you can't provide or deliver the same quality that's in your demo, that's going to be a problem, right? For the client and for you. So my view on it is in the beginning, make your own DIY demos, because that will be an accurate representation of what you can deliver on your own. Because, some of you have some audio engineering experience, but for the majority of us, we don't. So, right? That kind of puts you in a tough spot and you're just trying to get started out. I've been doing this for 6 years. I have never had a professional demo made, and I am still where I am today, 6 years later, making my own demo. And your first demo is not going to be, the most awesome thing on the planet. But there's still going to be a need for your voice in certain applications. I mean, we don't start this business and then our first job is going to be a nationwide commercial. It takes time to get there. Just like it's going to take time for you to get to a place where your demo is going to sound good enough to get that commercial spot. Right? So it's okay to make your own demos in the beginning. Just DIY it. But still get the training and the coaching for sure. And if a demo is included in that, that's fine. But just keep in mind that you're going to have to do probably some extra work on figuring out your DAW and how everything works in order to replicate that sound on your own, or get as close as possible anyway. Hang on, let me silence my phone. You be quiet, you. Sorry about that. So let's go over to the poll. We have 33 votes so far. Looks like 15% of you said yes. So if you have, how's it working for you? Let us know. 15% of you said not yet, but I want to. 39% said no, I don't plan to. I make my own. And 30% of you said I haven't decided yet. So if you're in the haven't decided yet category, then I'm hoping that something today will help to encourage you to go ahead and make your own if you wanted to, or go find there's a handful of coaches out there that have packages where you can train with them, coach with them, and then they work with you on creating a professional demo. There's nothing wrong with that. But just keep in mind that you're going to have to do your own extra work on your DAW, learning it and perfecting it, excuse me, to replicate that sound as close as possible, right? So I'm hoping something today or said today will help you make a decision on how to move forward. So I'm going to hop on over to the comments and see who's here. I see Caesar sort of took over the chat here. Of course, he's first in. Hi, Caesar. How you doing? Congratulations, by the way. Been a little absent the last couple days, but kind of took a step back from social media and everything. But I did see your Discord message that you sent me, and I haven't responded yet, but I just saw it. But congratulations. I'm so very proud of you. Caesar says, when I started out, my budget was limited. My budget was limited to room treatment, studio renovation, gear, and replacing a laptop that violently died. How does a laptop violently die just before a platinum Zoom call? Did it rage quit? The last laptop was an unplanned purchase. And being who I am, I went with an unfettered monster of a laptop. Of course you did. So for the next few months, my budget was limited to sardines, tuna, distilled water, and bread. As we all do, right? I became determined to becoming my own sound engineer due to my limited funds. So I then limited my budget to plugins. Being who I am, I bought like all the plugins. And for those of you that don't know, plugins are individual effects, or like a suite, like a bundle of effects that you can purchase to incorporate into your DAW to tackle little voiceover issues that, and I don't say issues, but like things that maybe you can't overcome without, mic placement and all the room treatment, stuff like that. And these plugins reduce noise in your room. They reduce mouth noise. They reduce plosives. They include some specialty equalizers, all kinds of different things. So when I say plugins, that's what I mean. You can find plugins, just quick side note for those of you just learning about plugins for the first time. You can find plugins for specific issues at waves.com. That is a site where you can find plugins for all different kinds of things. And then there's also iZotope.com. That's iZotope.com. And most of us have the RX 10 or 11 suite of plugins. And within the there's 3 different bundles of plugins there. There's the Elements, the Standard, and the Advanced. There is a magical plugin. If you have a sticky mouth, much like I do, and you've tried everything, the green apples, you've done all the hydration, you've done everything you can, and mic placement doesn't really help. But there is a magical plugin within the middle and large package, of course, the standard and the advanced package, called Mouth Declick. And that singular plugin has saved me so much time in brushing out all of the mouth clicks manually in everything that I do. So that one has definitely been worth it. But quick side note on the plugins, I'm not tangenting, I promise. I just wanted to explain because I have to remember to explain these things. So Caesar then says, after buying all the plugins, my budget was limited to sardines, tuna, distilled water, and bread. Thinking back, paying a sound engineer for my demos would have likely cost me a lot less. True, and it's always good to learn how all these things work and how to do it on your own. But if you hire someone to do it all for you, then you miss out on the learning aspect. You miss out on the knowledge on how to manipulate your own sound for multiple purposes or somebody else's sound. Because I always say to diversify your service offerings, right? I know I'm going on another side note, but I feel this needs to be said. If you learn about how to use your DAW and how to use the effects and make them work in harmony, you could actually use all of the gear that you have and all the experience and skills that you now have in VoiceOver and offer a service to do that for someone else. Meaning you can edit dialogue, podcasts, audiobooks for other people. You can offer that as a service as well. So learning to do that on your own versus hiring an audio engineer and just, that's good, which I did too, don't get me wrong. I hired an audio engineer, but I still took the time to learn about all these things. Anyway, I don't want to get too far off track, but let's see. The upside to this is that I am now a sound engineer and a voice actor and occasionally get paid to engineer sound and voice act. So now I can eat more than just sardines, tuna, distilled water, and bread. That said, hello, Angelo. Hello, everyone. My upcoming audiobook with Stephanie and Raven, excuse me. God, I haven't done my exercises this morning, now has a teaser trailer on social media and fall 2024 release. That is so cool. My name is in lights and I am so excited. You should be. I've been part of this community for about a year now, and I'm so thankful for everyone's love, encouragement, and belief in my ability. And thank you, Angela, for everything you've taught me. I still remember listening to your YouTube videos while renovating my spare bedroom in preparation of my studio build, and you inspired me to go all in with voice acting. Thought I'd never get here. Well, you did. You did. You put in the work, Caesar. So very proud of you. Rustic Hillbilly is here and says, congratulations, Caesar. What a diet. I mean, high in protein anyway. Glad to hear the sacrifices paid off. Absolutely. Dwight is also here. Good morning, Dwight. Good morning, Angela, Caesar, and my fellow Angelistas. Great day for recording. Caesar, you made it, man. Congrats. I know, and you did very early on in your career. But I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised at all. You have the talent, you have the skill, you have the voice. I knew it wasn't going to take long. Paul Landergan, voice artist. Hello, good morning. Having been an audio engineer producer for over 40 years before I started using my own voice, I didn't feel the need, and I've produced all my own demos. Maybe I should get another opinion, though. And that is actually a good point. When you start on the other side, and you start on the audio engineering side, and you know how to do all of these things that us starting out as voice actors need to learn to do, it wouldn't hurt, even with all of your skill and experience, to get feedback from other voice actors, maybe voice actors that are established and have been doing this a while. because there may be something in what you include in the demo versus what you shouldn't include in the demo that would help you maybe win more jobs or make your demo more appealing, just to get a voice actor's opinion or their lens, if that makes sense, on your demo. Because it may sound really good, but they may have some feedback on what to include, what order to include things, that sort of thing. I mean, we never stop learning, right? It's always good to learn new things and to see different perspectives of things, just to make sure that we're experiencing everything and therefore can provide more, right? Just enhance our skill set. So it probably wouldn't hurt. I mean, if I was in your shoes, I probably would. I would get somebody's feedback on it just to make sure that I'm including everything that needs to be included. Absolutely. Dwight says, no, I have not paid to have a demo made. I am thinking about doing Mike Hathcote's hybrid demo, though. You do the work and he teaches you everything about it. Very intensive, but then you know how. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, again, learning, knowledge is power, my friends. The hybrid demo also include audio engineering and commercial review by Bill DeWeese. All right, that's good. So you know that ain't going to be cheap. But I have seen the results of others, and the education reviews are good. Well, there you go. That sounds like a good package. Not staying today, Angela. I'm halfway through my book and have to finish it by end of day tonight. My deadline, not theirs, because I am taking 4 days off this weekend for an unplanned Comic-Con. Nice. I hope you have some business cards to hand out. We talked about marketing just a few weeks ago, and that is a great way to network and to meet new people and to market your business, is any kind of cons, Comic-Cons, probably, what do you call those things, like home cons? I don't know if they're cons, but, I mean, any kind of, I'm getting off track here, but any kind of con that is coming to your area, take some business cards and go. You never know who you're going to meet. Or do what I do and, have a t-shirt made that's got your logo on it and your website and all that stuff. And people may ask you. I've been asked. Why not? Do it. Caesar says, good luck, Dwight, and thank you. I'll hit you up later so I can help you fast track some stuff. That's awesome. You guys are so supportive of each other. Also, thanks, Rustic Hillbilly. I am beyond excited. I don't want to jinx it, but to quote Chris Daughtry, this could be the start of something good. I think it is. Caesar. I feel it. And again, I'm not surprised. Masonry Construction says, I don't do enough work as a VO to justify the expense of a pro demo anyway. That said, I have 20 episodes of a podcast I can show, plus other decent videos I can offer. Just me being me. There you go. I always love your attitude and perspective on things. Miriam's here. Hey, Miriam. She says, working on my second commercial demo. First one I did was when I first started. What a difference, I know, right? I still cringe listening to myself. I mean, outside of my DAW, like in finished projects, when I hear myself, I still can't stand to hear it. But then there's no way that I'm going to go back and listen to something I did 5 years ago, because that would be rough. If I can't listen to something I did yesterday outside of my DAW, there's no way I'm going to be able to stand it. If I have to listen to something from 3, 4, 5 years ago. Oh my gosh. Miriam says, hello all, by the way. My cup of tea, morning all. Good morning to you. Tess Stalker. Hey, girl. Hey, all from Dracula. And for those of you that don't know, she's from, I forget how to pronounce it. Is it Dacula? Dacula? I forget how to pronounce it, but I thought it was Dracula the first time. And so it just became Dracula. I have pro demos in commercial, narration, and medical for my website. I need to feel secure about it. And you should. I mean, the only thing that you would have to consider if you have a pro demo made, is that can you replicate that sound on your own? If you can, then you're fine. It's not a waste of money. It's not a waste of time, but that would be the one thing that you would have to consider before going through that process and paying all that money. Can you replicate that sound? Because that's what you're presenting to clients. That's really the only thing. But if you want feedback on them, then, drop them in my Facebook group, the VO workshop. If you don't know, that's my Facebook group. It's a private group. And I allow you to share your demos for feedback there. Not a whole lot of groups do that, but I do. Because we need it. We need to hear, because we get attuned to our own sound and we might not be hearing something that's there that needs to be fixed. So if you want to know for sure if they sound great or maybe something needs to be fixed, then post them in my Facebook group and get some feedback. Ash J Vlogs. Hello, Ash. Good morning. Helen McAllister says, it's Ohm. Hi from Oz. Great to get back onto a live stream with you guys. It's nice to see you. Nice to see you here. My cup of tea says, haven't paid for one. I've tried to be practical and learn from my mistakes and improve from there. And that is another great thing that I didn't think about. The learning, the failing forward that also goes into learning how to make your own demos is definitely a good thing. Because the most valuable lessons we learn is in the doing. And if we don't do it, then we don't learn them. Right? I love that. Grant Crowell. Am I saying that wrong? I'm such an idiot. Good everything. I say that to cover all of the time zones. Good. Maybe that's what I should change my intro to. Good everything, depending on where you are. Marisol Westland is here. Hello, Marisol. Good to see you. Helen says, I have been dabbling in some quality assurance gig work on Upwork. And let me tell you, this really changed my opinion regarding pro demos. Yeah, I've heard some things too. Which is another reason why I would probably opt to do my own. Because just like everything else, pro could mean different things to different people. What you consider to be pro or what maybe someone else would consider to be pro, you don't think is pro. And I'm not saying that to knock on anybody, but it's just I've seen and heard some things over the course of the last few years, meeting new people and working with new people. And I don't know, maybe I'm just too much of a control freak. I don't know, but I just always make my own. Dwight says, I could be wrong, but I think good demos are important, coupled with great marketing, social media, networking. Of course, all the things. You got to do all the things. If you're running a business, you got to wear all the hats and do all the things. That's just the way that it goes. But you can make good demos on your own. I'm not talking to you specifically, Dwight, but I know you're fine. But for anybody watching, you are capable of making good demos on your own. You have to make sure that your sound is good, right? Your room is dialed in. You understand how to do everything in your DAW that we need to do and how the effects, what order the effects chain goes in, how everything works in harmony with each other. There's a lot more to it than I ever realized in the beginning. But if you have a good grasp on that, you are capable of making good demos on your own. And then also in what order they should be in, how many you need, all that kind of stuff. And we'll get there too. But let's get to a couple more comments here. Helen says, if you can't match the demo quality when it comes time to provide the actual VO to the client and the quality assurance fella or fellerette, it can become an issue in the project for everyone involved. Absolutely. That's exactly my point. My cup of tea says, correction. I'm thinking about getting one done, but I don't think I'm in a spot to do that yet. We'll keep working at it. Keep working at it. In the interim, you can make your own. Make your own. And then once you're ready to get that pro demo, go do the pro demo. Tess says, I'm with you, Dwight. They go hand in hand with great marketing and social media. Mm-hmm. Caesar says, honestly, I feel like buying a professional service can help a VO. One, become more confident in their voice. That's true. And two, improve their sound quality for future recordings ahead. As long as the professional service includes those things. I've seen, and what I mean by that is that I've seen a few different packages offered by a few different people that include different levels of assistance, collaboration, hands-on work, training, coaching included with the production of the demo. So if your service that you're buying includes those things, the training, the, going through your DAW and helping you understand how the effects work, which ones work for your situation, because not everybody needs every single effect. It's going to be a very specific formula for your space and your voice. So if they go through all of that stuff with you and also coach you and explain why they're having you do things the way that they're doing it, if they explain all that stuff to you in the package that you purchase, that is the best way to go. Because if they just do all the things and then, throw you out the window to fly out on your own and you don't have wings yet, So I guess if you're looking to get a professional demo made, you have to look very carefully at the different packages offered by different people and make sure that you're getting all the training that goes along with it. So you can then replicate that sound quality on your own and learn something from it without, failing and then learning the hard way. And failing is not always a bad thing, just so you know. That's how you learn the most, I think. Most lessons are learned in the failing because you just pick yourself up, learn the lesson, and know not to do it again and make it better in the future. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but for those of you that know, I have like a playground like 15 feet outside of my studio, and there's kids out there screaming, having a great time before it gets to be 115. So if you hear screaming, that's not in my house. It's outside in the playground. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Helen says, you may be asked to re-record, as has been the case in my experience. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to avoid, right? By talking about this stuff now before you do it. Caesar says, having trained myself in audio engineering, there are a lot of things to overcome in audio. One is all the voodoo. It's very technical. Two is parsing all of the conflicting information online. And that is something in and of itself. There's so many opinions online about everything. And it's hard to decipher and determine what is right and what is right for you. Because what is right for the person talking may not be right for you. So this is why I say to listen to everybody. Listen to what everybody has to say. And when I say everybody, I mean there's a lot of other voice artists and audio engineers, and there's a lot of people in this industry online giving information, much like I do. And I say take it all in. Take it all in, because there's going to be nuggets of information, golden nuggets of information in something a person says that applies to your situation. Not everything that this person says is going to be fit for you. Maybe a little piece of it. Maybe one little thing they said was like, oh yeah, I don't agree with everything else they said, but this one thing they said is will definitely help me with this situation. Right? It's hard to determine what you need in the beginning because everything's in a completely different language. Like, I don't even know if I need this or not. I don't even know what this is. But if you're joining groups, if you have a circle of peers within like Facebook VO groups and stuff, or masterminds or stuff like that, then that'll definitely help you sort of weed through the clutter, and figure out what you really need out of all the stuff that you heard. So, but yeah, it's tough. There's so much information out there. It's hard to kind of figure out what you actually need and what you don't. Helen says, agreed, Caesar. This is why the gods of VO sent us Booth Junkie. Yes. Booth Junkie is a great channel here on YouTube. If you have not yet discovered Booth Junkie, then after this live, don't leave now. After this live, look up Booth Junkie. Great channel. He goes through a lot of different comparisons of microphones. He talks about technical stuff. He's a voice artist. Great information. I've learned a lot from Booth Junkie. Caesar says, so many audio YouTubers will tell you to do one thing or do another, or tell you you're an idiot for not doing it this way or that way. That can overwhelm and discourage a voice actor. It absolutely can. And you have to remember that most people on social media, I'm not saying all, because I certainly wouldn't put myself in that category, because I see it and I recognize it and I don't like it. But a lot of people online, and not just voice actors, but anyone on social media, a lot of what they do and say or how they do it is to get your attention, is to make you keep watching, is to get you to click on their video and watch it. So you have to keep that in mind, that, you know, a lot of it is to grab your attention and to keep your attention. I don't think anybody's an idiot for doing anything the way that they want to. Because even if it might not be the absolutely best way to do something, you're still learning. It's still a process. It's still, you're taking the steps forward and learning something, right? So I don't know. Tangent number 5 today? I don't know. But just don't be discouraged when you see this stuff. Don't be like scared to do something because this guy says that you're an idiot if you do it this way. I just take the information in and store it away. It makes me upset that people do that. But just keep that in mind. Robert Velena. There's a lot of conflicting information advice on this topic, but this has always made the most sense to me. Your demo should be representative of your current talent level. Yeah, no, I agree. And I agree. I think that's the most transparent way to approach this, because you don't want to present something, especially in the beginning, to a client that is not something you can do. It's a misrepresentation in a way. It's representative of what you sound like. Yes, but if you had to go through an hour-long coaching session and then had a professional audio engineer do all the things and put their, sprinkle their audio engineer dust on it, and you can't self-coach to get that performance out on your own, and then you can't get that sound quality down on your own, then in a way it's a misrepresentation of what you can deliver. And that's kind of how I see it. And that's not a bad thing, but you will eventually get there. It's just in the practice and in the training, and then, learning to do it on your own. But I agree with you, Robert. Caesar says, having a professional guide you through the technical part and encourage them and letting them listen to your final process output can be immensely game-changing. Absolutely. And then the courage, confidence in that is amazing, is everything. Because I think confidence, we need a lot of confidence in the beginning. We are our own worst critics. So we need to hear that we're doing good. Pamela's here. Good morning, Pamela. Good to see you. Hope you brought the donuts. Caesar says to Helen, oh, yes, Booth Junkie is responsible for most of my mic purchases. Most of. How many do you have, Caesar? How many mics do you have in your stable right now? Colette is here. Hey, Colette. Haven't seen you in a while. How are you? Donnie says, hello, all. As far as training, I would recommend both singing classes and acting classes. Both will help you with breath control as well as mic proximity. That's very true. Grant says, I worked with a professional audio engineer to build me a vocal chain that matched up my DAW, which I now use with demo submissions along with a raw version. That's the same thing that I did. I had somebody do, Tim Tippett's did a booth audit with me. And that included mic positioning, like mic proximity and how the mic should be positioned best for my sound in my room. And then also created a few shortcuts, created an effects rack preset for me. Really, really like made my flow. I can't think of the word. Streamlined. Really streamlined my flow and made things a whole lot easier for me. Really made my process faster. Really saves time and frustration, especially when you're doubting yourself. You're like, I don't know if this sounds good. I don't know. And then you just over process because you're just kind of like, ah. But hiring an audio engineer to find out that you weren't that far off to begin with. So you shouldn't be, criticizing yourself as hard because you were fine. JCC AOL says, Angela and everyone, good to see you. Donuts are here. It's been a crazy week with the RNC here, pretty much keeping a low profile. When it comes to audiobooks, I will do the books that I write. I think authors should narrate their own stuff. Don't hate me, but I do. I think, it kind of, I hate to say it hits different, but that's what comes to mind. It just feels more authentic and genuine. Queen Penguin says, hello, everyone, or hey, everyone. I booked a local radio gig off a DIY commercial I created as a beginner, and they thought it was a legit paid TV commercial. Totally doable. Good for you. It's awesome. Missy G318 says, good morning. Happy to be here to learn. Glad you're here. Seeing a lot of new names. Blitzscreen, morning, everyone. Good morning to you. Caesar says, for anyone who's curious, Paul Landergan's microphone on his thumbnail is a magnificent Sontronics STC2. Gregory says, good morning, Angela and everybody. Gregory says, I got a professional demo done, but I have yet to be chosen for a gig. It's beyond frustrating. I bet that is. I bet that is. Have you ever tried making your own? Have you tried your own DIY demo? Joy says, hello, everyone, from sunny 81 degrees Southfield, Michigan. No, to be honest, I would have to save to cough up for professional grade demos. I'm on a mission to find software that will help me do one. Didn't we talk about, no, that was somebody else. That wasn't you. But we talked a little bit about demos in the last Platinum group meeting. But while we're on that topic, as far as number of demos and how they should be ordered, let's back up a step and say there's demos and then there's samples. A demo, the purpose of a demo is to present it to a person or entity to showcase what you can do, what kind of variety or range you have. So, and then each demo is going to serve a different purpose for a different genre or for a different person. So you're going to have multiple demos, right? It's a compilation of excerpts or pieces of stuff that shows your range. So let's just say that you're a voice actor who is open to doing audiobooks, commercials, e-learning, video games, everything. You're going to want one demo that's got a little bit of everything in it. And then you're going to want other demos that are just one specific type of voiceover. Like an audiobook demo that maybe's got a few different genres in it. And then a commercial demo that's got nothing but commercial tones in it, right? Different commercial tones. And when I say different tones, I mean, you've got one that's sort of, upbeat and bubbly. You got one that's sort of like low and luxurious. And then you've got, there's all kinds of different tones. And then if you have a video game demo, it's going to have different character voices in it, right? So on and so forth. And then you have samples. And a sample is just a sampling of one thing that you've done, one job, one audio file, one excerpt. It's a sampling, one singular sample of one thing that you've done. And the purposes of that, mainly you see that with audiobooks. Maybe that's not true. But if somebody asks you for something specific, you have a client that contacts you for one thing and one thing only, you can send them that sample. So for example, if you have a client looking for a sci-fi audiobook, you don't want to send them romance and a bunch of other stuff because they're like, I want sci-fi. Or a children's book, right? You're not going to send them romance and all the other things. They want to hear children's book. That's a completely different tone. So you have samples of all the different types of things that you do to deliver to a client when they need it. And then you can take those same samples and then compile them into a demo that has a range of different tones and delivery types and stuff like that. As far as music and sound effects, I get that question a lot. I have demos that have sound effects, and then I have some that don't. If you want to, it's not too difficult to add music and sound effects to a demo. So you could have two different versions of a demo. You can have one that's dry, meaning no effects, no music, no nothing on it. And then you can have another one that's got all the stuff on it. But I do have to tell you, especially in the beginning, and I know a lot of clients and a lot of casting directors, they all know this to be true. So if you're trying to cover up bad audio quality with music and sound effects, a trained ear can hear that. So I would caution you in the beginning, if you're making your own DIY demo and you're not super comfortable with your audio quality yet, don't throw music and sound effects on it to cover that up, to mask the bad audio quality, because a trained ear will hear it anyway. And their first guess is going to be that you added the music and sound effects to cover up the bad audio. So my best advice in that respect is hire an audio engineer, learn, try to fix it on your own. Get the training and the knowledge to learn how to get your audio quality up to snuff on your own before you make a demo. Let's see. Ash Vlog says, I feel like a complete newbie compared to you all. And we've all been where you are now. So please don't get into comparisonitis or anything like that, because we all started at the same place you did. We're just a little bit further along, but so please don't have comparisonitis. Been stuck in the learning phase for almost a year now. Would we call that procrastinating? Are you doing that to yourself? I have to wonder that. I hope not. I'm still trying to get my head around the lingo and still learning the very basics of editing. And that's okay. Learn it. Learn it. Take your time to learn it. It would behoove you to take the time to learn that stuff, but don't let it hold you back and stop you either, because you will learn the most in the doing. So make sure that you're still doing and you're not just going, oh, I'm not ready yet. I don't have this yet. I'm not doing this yet. I haven't learned this yet. So I'm not going to do anything. Don't hold yourself back because of that, because it's very easy to get stuck in the safe place of procrastinating. Promise me that you'll get out there and do and try. I'm just all over the tangents today, man. Caesar said, even sound engineers need sound engineers. I doubted my sound for a while because I wasn't doing it like others did. So I passed my work to another sound engineer who assured me I sounded great. Yeah. We are overanalyzing everything in our heads all the time. Marisol says, I am still trying to figure out how to bring air into my self-made booth, i.e. my large closet. Ha ha ha. I feel like I'm in a sauna by the time I leave the booth. And you know what? You are not alone. You are not alone. This time of year, you'll see a lot of voice artists like recording in with like cold packs over their shoulders in like full bathing suits because same. Any kind of fan or HVAC or anything that'll cool you down that's electronic or, makes noise is going to be picked up by your mic and ruin your recording. So relatable, but definitely good to get air in there. I have an HVAC vent in here, but obviously I turn the air conditioning and heating off while I'm recording. And then I open my door and turn a fan on when I'm not recording to get air circulating in here. So if some, mix of that can help, then that's what you'll have to do. But you're not alone. Cold packs are great. Masonry Construction says, even though I opt for no pro demos, let me say that it is inexcusable for any VO or potential VO to not have an abundance of free audio videos on several platforms. No excuses, get busy. Absolutely. Take the time. Take the time to create these things. It is a marketing tool and a must for you. So definitely get those out there. Some representations of what you can do. Get busy. Rich is here. Hey, Rich. If you can't produce professional audio on your own, a professional demo misrepresents your talent. Steve Voiceover says, I'm passing by very quickly to leave a greeting. I hope everyone is well. Well, hello and goodbye. Glad you stopped by. Masonry Construction says, amen, Rich. Joy says, it's very true. Absolutely. Ash J Vlog says, these comments are fascinating. I've never heard anyone else say not to get a professional demo because you need to replicate the quality. I've only heard people promote pro demos. Yeah, and I think that is, unfortunately, the one thing that we overlook in that process. I mean, pro demos are great. Please don't misrepresent or misunderstand what I'm saying. Pro demos are great, but you have to ask yourself the question, can I replicate this on my own at this point in my journey? If I can't, you need to train more, because otherwise you're going to have to hire that audio engineer for every audition, for every job. And you don't want to do that. That costs too much money, takes too much time. You need to get yourself to a point where you're self-sufficient, right? And that may take time, and it's going to take the time that it takes. There's no rush. There's no competition here. All of this is for you and the betterment of you and furthering your career. So take the time to learn these things and get involved. Become part of groups. Get active in groups and learn things and make friends and network, all the things. Rich says, a voice actor's number one job is to promote. Where's my clicker? A voice actor's number one job is to produce professional audio and be able to market yourself. Absolutely, because it's a business. You need to be able to market your business to get business coming in. Well said. Hey, Brian, good morning. After a week, I finally have power. Yeah, the hurricane was nasty. Did you know there is a delicate balance between getting enough water in and sweating? Yes, I do. I live in the desert. I'm with you. Well, I didn't quite achieve that. Oh, that sucks. I hope you're all right. Donnie says, watching these videos is great, but honestly, in my opinion, you will need a structured course and a group of like-minded people. Take the Platinum Group, for instance, an amazing group with tons of knowledge. Thank you. Yeah, our Platinum Group is an amazing group of people. Brian says, that being said, I learned in Barrel that so much of this business is on my computer and devices, even the book I'm working on. Yeah, everything we do is online, is Wi-Fi dependent. Yes. Jim says, your training on filters in Audition is absolutely invaluable. I used it on later pages of a book I am reading and decided to use it on the early pages as well. Well, that's awesome. Thanks, Jim. Glad to help. Colette says, everyone, don't forget to like this. Oh, yes. Hit all the buttons. Subscribe, like, notify, all the things. It helps the YouTube algorithm to expose me to other people. That's funny. Thank you for that, Colette. Excuse me. Jim says, I figure I owe my best for what they are paying. Joy says, thanks for the reminder, Colette. Grant says, I currently work full-time in the field of e-learning. Am I better off finding a professional who specializes in building demos for that niche versus multiple genres? Absolutely. And I would say that for training too. If you have something specific, like a specific path or direction in voiceover that you want to do, then find a coach who does just that. A coach / audio engineer / whatever it is, whatever professional is specializing in the specialty that you want to learn more about or do yourself, definitely reach out to that person, because they will know the ins and outs and all the little do's and don'ts of each specific. They will know what sells. So I absolutely 100% do it. Joe says, learn. Jim says, I only have an MXL 990 and wonder why I need to EQ the high side. I'm sure Caesar has an answer for you. Dylan says, gah, I forgot it was Tuesday. You brought donuts. Thank you. Thank you for the donuts. It's okay. I lose track of the days all the time. Colette says, Joy, you're welcome. Caesar says, I have 7 mics, not too many. Thought I'd have more at this point. Sean Lester has 9, so I'm the one with the rookie numbers. Jim says, my DAW is Adobe Audition, period. Yeah, I love Adobe Audition. Donnie says, LOL, Dylan, thanks for the donuts. Jim says, I have not approached the market for work, but I figure I'll start out on Fiverr and grow from there. That's what I did. Fiverr, ACX, and Upwork is where I started. Marisol says, Adobe Podcast is a good one. Is that, what is that? Is that a podcast called Adobe Podcast? What is that? What is that? I have to know. Marisol says, it helps if you don't have a treated room, but should not be the end all for recording. If you don't, I'm not sure what you mean there, but having a treated room, in my opinion, is more important than anything else that you have. Your room and the sound quality that you can achieve from your room, there's no echo, the mic is positioned correctly. Having a treated room is more important than anything else. Jim says, what is the difference between demo and audition? A demo is something pre-made that you can supply to a casting director, a publisher, somebody like coming to you to collect and put on file, sort of like a resume to have on file to reference back to later to offer you a job. An audition is a specific script for a specific project to see if you are a fit for it, right? If the client wants to hear their words in your voice for something specific. That's the difference between the two. Oh, I forgot to click it, but it was Jim's question. Eric is here. Hey, Eric. Good morning, all. I'm not late. I was biding my time until I said hello. Yep, that sounds good. You owe me donuts. Colette says to Caesar, does each mic have a specific purpose? How do you decide which one to use? Ash says, I've been too scared to try to audition for anything yet, but did set up Fiverr. I have a basic DIY demo, and so far I've only had requests from scammers and people sending inappropriate photos. Girl, I have been on there for 6 years. I still get inappropriate photos and scammers. They're going to shoot their shot no matter where you are. But in the beginning, if you're new, because anyone on Fiverr can see when you joined, on your profile. So they're going to try to take advantage of what they think you don't know yet. They're going to try to take advantage of your inexperience and your ignorance, right? In their eyes. But if you are, interacting with people like myself who tell you what to look out for, and other people and follow them, and you know what you're looking at, but it sounds like that you recognize these people for who they are. So just make sure that you respond on Fiverr. You have to respond. If it's already been moved to your spam folders, not much you can do about it other than to delete it. But respond, say no thank you, and then report them and block. And I can't stress enough, for Fiverr, do not click links in messages. Even if it seems well-meaning, they're sharing a Google Drive, they're sharing a script, they're sharing something. Do not click links. I never do. Still at this point, I respond with, thank you for reaching out to me. But due to past experiences, I do not click links. I apologize in advance, but is there a way that you could upload the script directly? Because Fiverr has their own virus filtering thing, and you can open it within the Fiverr window without having to download it. So, and 9.8 times out of 10, the client goes, oh, sure, I totally understand. Here you go. Right? But do not click links. I never do. And I explain why, and I ask them to upload a script. But I hear you. Keep going. Don't let it be discouraging. It will start to snowball at some point. Eric says to Colette, they're like shoes, different ones for different outfits. Right, Caesar? Joy says, wow, that's a lot of mics to have in the closet. Would any of you guys consider selling one of those? Because I got casting call club audition clients who require XLR mics for their anime projects. Colette says to Eric, I guess I'm just walking right now as long as I have shoes. Marisol says, I feel your pain, Ash. That is all that I have gotten on there. I guess promote until a real opportunity arises. You could also, every once in a while, make some changes. Refresh your gigs. Add some updates. Refresh your title, your price point, your thumbnails. Do all of that stuff. But just remember that Fiverr is a platform in which you can host your services. They're not there to bring you business. You have to stand out in the sea of faces. And you have to make sure that the people that you want to offer your services to can find you, right? So you have to make sure that the keywords in your title fit what your services are, your tags. I mean, a lot of this is proactive. A lot of this is on you to stand out and be found by the appropriate people, right? So make sure that you're doing that. Caesar says to Eric is right. For example, my Lewitt LCT 441 Flex goes well with my Brooks Brothers pure cotton dress shirt with barrel cuffs. Stop it. Caesar says to Colette, hilarity aside, different mics complement different voices in different use case scenarios. Doesn't mean you need all the mics. One good studio workhorse will go a long way, just like my Sennheiser. My Sennheiser 416 does everything for me. Audiobooks, e-learning, video games, everything that I do is this one mic. I do have backup mics, but I'm a little biased. I'm a little bit in love with my microphone. So I have others that I can use, but I don't because I love my 416. Grant says, when you say hire an audio engineer, do you recommend doing a direct hire or taking a group course for starters, either live or on demand? I would say both would be beneficial, but if you need something that is specific to you and your space, and us in the beginning not knowing anything about anything, we don't know what we need or what there is available out there to use to fix what we need. So direct hire. And also learn and train as well. I'd say do both. There are a handful of audio engineers that I know of that you can directly hire. Tim Tippett is the one that I hired. There's also Lenny B, and there's also Uncle Roy. He goes by Uncle Roy, but it's Uncle Roy Yokelson, right? Those are all audio engineers that you can find online and reach out to. Dylan says to Caesar, which one goes with tidy whities and thick gold chain? I don't even want to know. the answer to that question. Tess says, I did my own audiobook demo some time ago. I think I'm due to revamp it. Yeah, I would say you should be refreshing your demos every 6 months max. I mean, it should be more often than that, but definitely probably time for a refresh. Eric says, Dylan, a swatch watch. Missy says, oh no, I'm totally procrastinating. We all do it. You just have to recognize it and then move forward. Jim says, I think using the filters in my work is a way of making an audition that will stand out. I know Fiverr and other markets are full of wannabes. Khan Farhan says, hi, I'm a VO artist from India. I am quite successful in the Indian lobby. Will training from a US-based pro VO coach will be of any help to me, as I don't have option in India for online? I mean, why not? Why not? I mean, language is just language, but delivery and performance and then audio quality is sort of universal across the world, right? So I would say so. Absolutely. Do it. Joy says, oh no, not software to hide bad audio quality, but software to help me place the sample clips or time me if I'm doing a live demo taping. You don't need software to place, you do that in your DAW. And once you make something on your own, you can get feedback from, anyone in the Platinum group. You can post it there, and then Caesar, Chris, or somebody will jump in and say, move that third take to the front. And then you do that, right? I think it sounds like, Joy, you're making it more difficult up here than it is. You can do this. It doesn't have to be specific time slots or specific, time stamps. It sounds like you may be overthinking it a bit. It's all right, girl. Take a breath. Just do it. Trust me. Just do it. Stop overthinking it. Grant says overanalyzing is so overthinkitis. It is. It is. We overthink so much unnecessarily. Caesar says to Dylan, a Rode K2 valve condenser or a vintage AKG Perception 810. What, you thought I didn't have a serious answer? We all expected it. We all knew you would. Ash says, I think I'm definitely stuck in procrastinating. I'll break out of it. Thanks, Angela. Good. Do it. Our Backwoods Homestead says, I've been an audio engineer, musician, and producer for 40 years. I mostly create Nashville music demos for songwriters for pitching purposes. You can learn how yourself with some training. Absolutely. Jim says, air in the booth is a nice touch, but the incoming air creates a noise source that has to be filtered out. I would say don't even filter out the noise. I mean, just remove the noise, because the more effects or filters, as you put them, that you put on your audio is going to degrade the audio, is going to degrade the final output, right? The final sound is going to be worse. I mean, don't use filters unless you need them. Don't just throw a bunch of stuff on. You want the minimal amount of effects added to your audio as possible, good and bad. So if you have noise in your room, remove the noise if you can. If you absolutely 100% cannot, then use a filter for it or equalizer. You can do like a cut on it, like a high pass filter. But don't use any filters or effects if you don't have to. Our Backwoods Homestead says, what happened? You have to have the right producer. They are all different. I do this for a living. Greenwood Audio Creation says to Ash, welcome to the party. You're probably going to be like the rest of us, going back and listening to all of Angela's stuff like this. It's amazingly helpful. Good. I'm glad you feel that way. I also, if you guys haven't noticed, all of these conversations that we do on my live, I turn into podcasts. So not only do I have all of these on, Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts or iTunes rather, and Google Podcasts, but I've also been able to host them all here on YouTube as well as a podcast. So I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for you to learn stuff. And I'm not saying that like I'm, amazing or anything. That's not what I'm saying, but I can reflect back to when I was starting. I was consuming all the information that I could. And the only way I could do that was earbuds while I was at work because I used to work in the automotive industry. So I could walk around the lot and do inventory with listening to podcasts in my ears. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to make this information as accessible as possible. If you can't join a live and you don't have YouTube Premium and you can't have your phone open while you're, you could do it on a podcast and you can consume it in podcast form. And then it's also here on YouTube as a podcast as well. Just thought I would share that. Colette says to Ash, would that be the people who make the pro demos? Caesar says to Jim, I think perhaps a baffled vent can help keep the noise down. The other option is a Samsung wind-free split AC. They can run as quiet as 20 dB and disperse cool air gently. Donnie says also training never stops. Yep, training never stops. Learning never stops. You're always learning. Greenwood Audio Creation says, I finally got my sound nailed down, passing ACX standard and not sounding flat. Yay me. That is definitely an accomplishment. I remember that point for me too. Celebrate that. Marisol says, I will have to look into that, Caesar. It's worth the research. Yep. Colette says, yay you. Caesar says to Marisol, please do. It's on my wish list for studio gear. Being comfortable in your recording space is very important as it can and will impact the mood of your read. Take it from me. Brian says, I think it needs to be said that to go fast, you have to go slow at the beginning and learn. It feels slow, but you have to lay the foundation. Yes, Brian, the foundation that you build is one of the most important things you can do in the beginning. And that foundation is going to consist of the training, your why, right? And then having a plan. If you don't have those as your foundation, they have to be rock solid, right? Especially your why, because your why is going to get you through so much. Like, I hate to say challenge and obstacles, but it feels that way in the beginning, that if your why to do this in the first place is strong enough, you can build a good foundation to hold you and the size of your business at some point, because you will get there as long as you keep at it and stay consistent, the size of your business on it, right? So your foundation is the most important thing. Greenwood says to Colette, thanks. Joy says, thanks. Jim, how do I find the discussions in the Platinum group? I hit Platinum on your page, but I don't know what choice to make to get there. I think you had reached out to me on my website too to ask this question. I sent you a direct invite link to our Discord. So I don't know if that link is still active because I think it's only active for like 7 days. But if you're on the Platinum page on my site as a Platinum member, there's a banner up at the top that says join our Discord. You click that button that says join now, and it'll take you to Discord. That's pretty much all you have to do. If you don't have a Discord profile, you might have to create one, but that takes 2 minutes to do. It's another social media platform is all Discord is. But each server is private for a group of people to do all kinds of amazing things. You can watch people live read and live edit. You can ask questions. You can share memes. You can find support. You can do, live video chats with other members. I mean, there's so much you could do there. It's valuable. So valuable. Ralph says, greetings, Angela and everyone. If one chooses to get a pro demo, be sure to get a version with no music. Some potential clients and platforms may require it to get your foot in the door. David Horn is here. Hey, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you. Hope all is well for you too. Greenwood says, Jim, me too. Audacity as a high-pass filter. That's awesome. Khan says, should a male voice actor get coached from a male voice coach, or does it not matter? I don't think it matters. I would love to say it doesn't matter, but I'm not a male. I would say that most of my coaches or people that I have learned from as a female voice actor myself have worked just fine for me. So I would think roles reversed, you'd be just fine, right? There's nothing specific performance-wise, I think. Just having a good understanding of what you're saying, who you're saying it to, and why you're saying it, is really all that matters. None of that has any kind of gender associated with it. Right? That's what I think. Jim says, yes, Bill DeWeese mentioned the Adobe podcast page this morning on his feed. What is that? Is it a podcast? Adobe podcast? Caesar says to Jim, the MXL 990 has a slightly brutal top end with a presence lift at around 10 kilohertz, which might explain why the EQ, the mic. Grant says, I work at a place that offers voice unders. Those are voiceovers by internal employees offering professional quality VOs to our internal agencies for free. That is crazy. Our Backwoods Homestead says, I started doing voiceovers for fun, then it turned into a business along with my song and demo service. It's usually how it works, right? It's just a hobby until it becomes a business. Greenwood says, Marisol was saying it helps if you don't have treatment and things. Okay. But you should have treatment. Is that what you mean? Tess says, by the way, scammers will find you anywhere. Yeah, anytime you make yourself available online at all, period, they're going to try you. They're going to shoot their shot. You just have to be smart enough to recognize it and not fall for it because you're no dummy. Definitely do not click links. Yep, even Voice123, Bidalgo, I mean, all of the pay-to-plays, everywhere I have been tried. So don't ever put your defenses down. Marisol says, how often should you make these changes? As far as refreshes for what, like Fiverr? If you're seeing business on a consistent basis, and keep in mind, Fiverr does have a natural ebb and flow. It always has. It's because they're shifting people around a lot to make sure everybody gets an equal opportunity. But I would say if you haven't seen any inbox messages, no orders for months, then you definitely need to change something. If you're seeing consistent like hits, whether it's in your inbox or orders, maybe 5 or whatever number, you're seeing something in 1 week, but then it goes completely quiet for the next week, that wave will come back in the next week or two. It always does. But if you're not seeing business, if it's completely like crickets for months, make some changes. It's not going to hurt anything. So it's going to be different for anybody depending on where you currently are in the algorithm. But there's always a wave. There's always an ebb and flow. Over 6 years, it's never changed. Masonry says, actually, Fiverr and Upwork both require communication only on their platforms, at least until there is a contract document between you. If you violate, you'll get suspended or worse. Don't click it. Mark says, hello, Angela and all. I brought Long John Donuts. Working on my Fiverr demo. My dehumidifier and the microphone have become besties. Yeah, I bet, especially right now. Jim says, with all of our music production going on, Memphis has a crowd of engineers hanging out. Well, there you go. Go grab one. How to remove the incoming air. Turn off. Turn off the air. I don't know what else. That's what I do here in the desert. I record when the air conditioner is off, and then I edit when it's on. I mean, I'm not saying that you can never turn it on again, just only when you're actively recording. Turn it off. Caesar says to Ash, with you on the 1 year procrastinating learning, hindsight is 2020. But I feel now like I could have started earlier despite imperfections in my recording space or processing knowledge. Yeah, I overthought everything in the beginning, and I still do. Tycon Delar says, took out a $30,000 loan for pro demos, but then decided to build a booth instead. No. Dwight says, Jim Williams, if you have buffered and sound treated air exchanger works. I built one for my booth, but in reality, opening the door is a great mental break. Yes, and you should be taking breaks for sure. Every couple of hours minimum. Greenwood says, as far as the idea of turning off the AC, if you have other people, you just pull your register and put something heavy over it and put your register back in, cutting out the AC for your room only. You could do that too. But then when you need it on, it's going to be a pain in the butt to fix it, right? Jim says, are you She-Lancer in the podcast world? We'll be listening to your podcast when I drive around. Yes. My podcast started, I think right before I settled on Voiceover Angela, and I was trying to be clever and cute. So yes, my podcast is called She-Lancer Mom Entrepreneur. with VoiceOver Angela. Now I've edited it to include with VoiceOver Angela. So I was helping people to kind of find me. But yes, you can find my podcast just about anywhere. I'm on all the platforms. You can listen to it directly from my website. You can now listen to it directly from here on YouTube. You can find it just about anywhere. But yes, She Lancer, mom entrepreneur, as me. Joy says, does anyone know where I can get gently used mics? You can find on Sweetwater, there's used gear there. There's a marketplace on Fiverr that is just voiceover equipment. There's another good reason to join networking groups or groups on Facebook is to find gently used stuff, right? Breaking Ground says, hi all, love your voice and watching your videos. I have education and some professional experience in voice and theater media work, but new to ACX. I have my script and equipment, but how much prep for sample? And that's going to be different for everyone. But I would say at the very least, if you're recording a sample, having an understanding of what you're reading, who you're reading it to, and why you're reading it to them is definitely going to help you with the performance, if that's what you're asking. But the prep time is going to take what it takes. It's going to take as many recording takes as it's going to take until you feel comfortable with it. Right? Jim says, okay, now time to make lunch and make one last demo before the work clock. Colette says, to Jim, RX10 and RN11 by Isotope allow you to identify hums and eliminate them. It's awesome. Absolutely. Jim says, got you. Caesar says, Joy says, don't forget you'll need a gently used audio interface. Yeah, for an XLR mic, you'll need an interface as well. Jim says, my MXL 990 was $100 new. Ralph says, Reverb sells new and used at good prices and a good return policy. There you go, Reverb. I haven't not heard of that one. That's awesome. All right, you guys, I have got to get going. I've got some work to do, a lot of catching up to do. But I will be here next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Next Tuesday. If there's something that you want to talk more about as a group, then please leave it in the comments below. Please consider subscribing. It really does help me out. At least hit that like button. I appreciate it. But I will see you guys all next week. Bye.